Once the most powerful man in the world, Marcus Aurelius sought to live a virtuous life adhering to historical principles. Unlike many Roman emperors, he did not indulge in the many pleasures available to him, such as drunkenness from wine and watching sadistic games in the Colosseum. Marcus Aurelius aimed to fulfill the task fortune had bestowed upon him, which was to serve humanity. Thus, he deeply cared about fulfilling his purpose, but to do so, he needed to care less about things that didn't deserve to be valued, which, we might say, are numerous. One of the essential concepts of Stoicism is the distinction between things we control and things we do not, as Epictetus's handbook clearly explains. Most, if not all, things beyond our own actions are not under our control. This means we should not necessarily renounce the world, but the Stoics believed we should be realistic about our limited influence over these things and that we create an unnecessary burden for ourselves if we don't. Often, when life hurts, it means we care about things over which we have no control, allowing them to control and play with us like puppets. Therefore, we blame the puppeteers for pulling our strings when, in reality, we allow them to do so. But if we stop caring about them, they lose power over us, and we can live in peace. For Marcus Aurelius, not being disturbed by things out of his control allowed him to face the many responsibilities and challenges he encountered as emperor and focus on the task he believed was given by the gods. For Epictetus, this meant freedom. For others, being unaffected by external forces could be a way to focus on goals that truly matter, and for some, it could simply be a path to a happy and carefree life. This video is a free exploration and interpretation of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy on how to care less about things not worth valuing. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius repeatedly differentiates between the present, past, and future. In each category, the ancient Roman emperor has valuable insights on how we care too much about them, in wrong ways, or about the wrong things. As Seneca once stated, we suffer more in imagination than in reality, implying our thoughts about the future are a source of our suffering. Our imagination often runs wild, inventing numerous scenarios that could happen, but probably never will. We think ahead about ways to deal with possible outcomes, trembling at the idea of not knowing how the future will unfold in our lives. In some cases, what happens is what we anticipated, but in many others, fate surprises us, burdening us with events we could not have foreseen, whether better or worse. For example, we might have spent years preparing for a well-deserved retirement that never happened before the first day of our golden years, a diagnosis of terminal cancer that gives us only a few months to live. The possibility of such events leads many to worry continually. The best might happen, but also the worst. And if the Third World War happens? And if I lose all my money? Such adverse outcomes are possible, but should we worry in advance as we do every day? The future only exists in our thoughts, but as long as they are not happening in the present, we cannot deal with them because these events simply are not happening. The future bothers us because we think about it. It does not exist outside our minds. And if you're dealing with terminal cancer, what stops you from living today and enjoying every second of your precious life? Stand up, raise your head, regardless of what you're going through in your life, whether something minimal or something extremely big. Put on your best clothes, your best sneakers, and go live moments that will be remembered by yourself even after death. Marcus Aurelius wrote that it is not the weight of the future that presses on us, but that of the present alone. It is not the future that hurts us, but how we deal with it in the present. The misery of the future happens in the present, and ironically, it is not the future unfolding in the present, because when we encounter it, it is already present. When we care too much about future events, life eventually begins to hurt because we suffer in our imagination, letting them dictate our present. So, what did Marcus Aurelius say about worrying too much about the future? First, let's consider the following quote. "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. He pointed out that if he could deal with the present, he could also deal with the future. He told himself not to imagine all that could happen terribly, but instead to deal with the situation he is living now in the present. When he focused on the present, he realized he could endure it. And if that was the case, why would he not be able to handle what is yet to come? This attitude resembles the idea of love of fate, fortified with the trust that we are capable of getting through it. Regarding the past, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself how quickly existence passes and disappears into the infinite beyond our reach. Like the future, the past is a domain where we cannot operate. What has gone is gone, and unless we invent a time machine, we cannot change anything about it. Marcus Aurelius asserted, "Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is past and gone, or not yet revealed." Thus, human life is short, and our dwelling in this corner of the earth is brief. The past means nothing. Despite the brevity of our lives, which occur only in the present moment, we often find ourselves overly concerned with areas outside of the present, areas that are inaccessible, namely the future and the past. Marcus Aurelius stated that the past means nothing and is indifferent in the present. It's not that events that happened in the past do not influence the present, or that we cannot learn from past events. It's just that we cannot work with the past because it is out of our reach, and our memories of the past are often jumbled, with limited ways to verify what exactly happened. We rely on memories of personal perspectives and different viewpoints, making our recollection of the past likely inaccurate. Yet, we continue to care about past events, often replaying them in our minds, reliving the pain they caused us. Some believe that by thinking about the past, we might have some control over it, but this is an illusion. The past is gone, and all we try to control are our thoughts about something that has already left us, never to return. "I wish I could have done it differently," many people say, but they wish for the impossible. Nothing can be gained from these thoughts because they evoke desires we can never fulfill. Leave a comment, click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content. Now let's dive deeper. Instead of focusing on past events themselves, Marcus Aurelius concentrated on his reaction to them. We might not control past events, and most likely we couldn't when they occurred. However, we can control how we relate to these events. Initially, we might view the past as misfortune. We may have had a difficult childhood or experienced the end of friendships or failed business ventures. But according to Marcus Aurelius, the nature of these events is not as important as how we deal with them. What has happened is not an impediment to me. I have remained unharmed by it, not shattered by the present, nor frightened by the future. This could have happened to anyone, but not everyone could have remained unharmed by it. Why treat the former as misfortune and not the latter as fortune? Can you really call something a misfortune that does not violate human nature? Or do you think something that is not against nature's will can violate it? What happened does not prevent you from acting with justice, generosity, self-control, sanity, prudence, honesty, humility, frankness, and all other qualities that allow a person's nature to be realized. Interestingly, Marcus Aurelius did not entirely dismiss the value of the past. He believed in observing its rhythm, how things come and go, repeating themselves, so we can extrapolate the future. In the present, Marcus Aurelius frequently mentions that the present moment is all we have. It is the narrow field to which we have access. From the present, we can look into the infinite abyss of the past and into the impenetrable darkness of the future. Marcus Aurelius encouraged focusing on what was within his control, the moment of now. But even when we let go of the past and minimize our worries about the future, we can still care too much about things that do not deserve concern, the things happening right at this moment. Often, we are dissatisfied with how life unfolds at the moment, and when things do not happen as we wish, we tend to become irritated, sad, or depressed. According to Marcus Aurelius, being emotionally disturbed by what the present brings us is futile. How the world around us unfolds is not in our hands, but how we react to it is. Yet, we tend to get disturbed because we do not like what is happening or because what we want to happen does not occur. Marcus Aurelius asserted that we should not fight against what we are forced to accept. We cannot prevent natural disasters from happening or stop people from wanting to fight in wars. We cannot prevent our loved ones from aging. Similarly, we cannot force the world to conform to our wishes. We have no guarantee that the people we are attracted to will feel the same way about us, nor can we be sure that all human beings have the same opportunities in life. It simply is not possible. The present moment can become a torture chamber where we suffer at the mercy of the future, or conversely, we are so enchanted with the present moment that we cling to it, fearing to lose what we have. Then again, we allow the future to control us. Through our total involvement in everything around us that is fleeting and mutable, we often fail to see what truly is under our control, our choices, our actions, and our opinions. Marcus Aurelius saw the law of nature as our master. If we flee from it or feel sadness or anger about it, we are no more than deserters and fugitives. We must accept the ways of nature, embrace them, and focus on dealing with them rather than wasting our energy being resentful or attached to our circumstances. Accepting the present, as Marcus Aurelius wrote in the 7th book of his Meditations, means arguing that we should focus on what we have, not on what is lacking, but with caution. Treat what you do not have as non-existent. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think how much you'd miss them if you didn't have them. But be careful not to feel so satisfied that you start overvaluing them, to the point that you would be upset to lose them. However, accepting circumstances can be challenging, especially when we face significant difficulties and life repeatedly gives us lemons. We may wonder, can't we have a break? But for Marcus Aurelius, adversity and life's troubles are not an excuse to behave poorly. Instead, they are an opportunity to practice virtue, or in other words, to apply Stoic philosophy to our lives. The art of living is not about how incredible and fortuitous our external circumstances are, since they are inconsistent, fragile, volatile, and not ours. It's about how we face the events we encounter. That's what we should care about. Cling to this. Do your best to live today. Live your life as best as you can, regardless of your physical, emotional, financial, or any other situation. Start the change with something within your reach. Just start. Don't look at others. Don't look at the future. Don't dwell on the past. See what is before you and just begin. I hope you can achieve the positive outcomes you so desire in your life. Remember, your motivation might fade at some point, but persist and be consistent in everything you do. Thank you for watching the video this far. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if this content was rewarding for your life. I will leave 2 videos here that you might be interested in watching as well. See you next video.